Okay. Look alright. Alright guys, so we just end on this shit. Man, my character looks so freaking cool. Too bad he's heavy as hell. Oh. The Kaden gauntlets look hard. Okay. Okay. Okay, one thing I want to do today, I want to find that Bloodhound step thingy. Man, I need somebody in here to show me shit. Should I just look it up? Okay. Yeah, that's what we'll do. First, bro, let's go warm up, bro. Let's go beat some niggas' asses for no reason. I think this is good level, bro. To just like play around, bro. I do have to watch a lore video. Cause if y'all remember, bro, we started this shit all maidenless, bro. And at the end of the game, bro, we gotta pay respects to the first person that ever even saw light in us. I really hope this. I wonder if they like. I feel bad. Like I kind of feel like I'm pillaging, but I don't want to just walk up and these niggas like actually just hate me. If so, if they do like wild out when I get close, okay. Oh, okay. Okay, I can't just one shot that nigga, bro. I gotta get my runes. I should have thought about it. Oh. Oh shit. No, God. Okay, now that I think about it, it is kind of disrespectful to just walk in on this shit like that. And then just, like, start fumbling with the... I'd be sussing me, too. Nigga can't even freaking just cruise around the right way. I'd expect it, bro. Nigga hungry, bro. That's what I'm gonna blame it on. There was a lot of niggas, bro. I really gotta play shit out, bro. I can't just be on no. Oh, I can't just play this shit. I gotta actually be locked in. Who the fuck is that?
I don't know.
What's up, Keely?
Nothing. What's up with you?
But I'm playing the game.
Are you live right now?
Y'all.
Oh. Do you have any viewers? Let me see.
Huh?
Oh, I'm just checking your stream.
I gotta beat these niggas' asses, man.
Am I subscribed? Okay, I am.
W. I'm really just trying to lock in as I like start playing the game. But ain't no way these niggas fucking follow my ass, bro. You finna fade. You finna. Who finna fade next? Oh yeah. I didn't know what that nigga said. He was not speaking English though. These niggas said I was maidenless. You said, huh?
I said it's Keel.
Yeah.
Why is he not in talk?
Cause you know how Keel is. He too famous for us.
Oh, true.
I mean, bro, you ran up on me. I'm sorry. I didn't even want to treat you like that. And it's looking like I'm gonna have to hit these niggas with a Guess Who Got 10 show. Cause it's like, why that nigga even trying me? Another one. Oh shit. What is that? Damn. Got his ass. I gotta get away. Cause I hear somebody behind me. Took him out though. Alright. Nigga, you can't read. I said, who are we about to fade next? I don't know yet, bro. Y'all gotta be the ones to tell me what's up with this game. Because, like, I mean, I don't know. That's just how I used to do it. I used to just, like, run around this bitch and y'all just tell me. I don't know. I don't like being that nigga that has to look everything up. But it's like I also do want to progress in the game. Nah, Q, I need you to tell me where that goddamn Bloodhound step thing is. That's what I need. I'm gonna beat this nigga ass. Oh.
I'm gonna head out, but I'll see you later.
Okay, you be easy.
No, you too.
What's up, boneless pie? Yup. One clean and easy strike, bro. We gotta take this shit seriously. Alright, and then I'm gonna beat these niggas' asses, because if I beat these niggas' asses... Okay, he's next. Okay, he got a fire whip. We don't like that. That's racist. That's what these guys are, the KKK. Definitely. What's next for us? You can get it early game. Okay, whatever it is, I'm gonna have to figure it out. So I'm able to have that in my arsenal. I saw this other dude have like a full Ashes of War on one of his weapons, and then like another weapon that he had equipped that moved onto, and he was able to like flash step around the battlefield even as a strength build. And I'm like, bro, like maneuverability like that would help me a lot. Boneless Pie, I have no idea who you be. You probably changed your name. But what the fuck is that? Is that a nigga? Yeah, I know a lot of like the higher tier people use flash step, which is why. Bro, look at all these dead fire giants. Beat the Yeti just to test out my skills. Gotta show you what I am, bro. Pull up short niggas. Niggas always sleeping on the short nigga, but I pull up and I put in work, nigga. I'm just a human. You big niggas ain't got shit on me. Yeah, now I can, I'm gonna get his ass. I'm gonna hit him with a Getsu Gaten. That nigga pulled away. Bruh. I literally cannot beat this nigga. Not me having to use all these fucking flasks on this nigga. It's just like, damn, I cannot. I think those hands are something really bad. My level is 125. Let's see. All right. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go back to my round table. I'm going to regroup, make sure all the weapons that I want to are like the level that or what I want them to be or whatever. Damn, nigga, speak. I'm gonna go to the round table, right? I'm gonna chill. Open up Google. We're gonna open up Google. We're gonna go to YouTube, watch a video on the lore behind the like endings, endings and shit, just so I know which one I want to go to. Elden Ring. Endings. Endings guide. Okay. All right, so we'll watch this 25-minute one, bro. I watched this so long ago. Okay. I want the Fia quest line. Because she's the one that came to us before everyone. The Felly quest line. Fia and the Felly. Full Randy quest line. All choices endings. Gold mask. Okay. I'm gonna watch this 25-minute one. Let me go downstairs and regroup, bro. Let me just get prepared for the night that we're finna unfold upon ourselves. Because we really finna dive deep into Elden Ring and finish this shit. Fia. Faye. Her ending is mid. True. But it's like when we first pulled up into the Elden world, niggas was like, bro, go make a name for yourselves. Like, become someone. Nigga called us, like, he told us we had no bitches, and someone came around, helped us. I mean, but to be fair, like, we helped them in return, but, I want it to be something true to my morals type shit, so we're gonna look into all the endings and figure out which one I really fuck with the most and go for it. For my first playthrough, you know? Alright, nigga, chill the fuck out.
I understand what Elden Ring is. You're not gonna come up to me and tell me what I'm supposed to be doing with my life.
Alright, so I'm finna go downstairs, I'm finna pick this shit up, and then we get to cooking. You know what I'm saying? Niggas, I know y'all don't know what I'm saying, do you? Do you understand what I'm saying when I tell it to you? I'm gonna blick niggas all in their coffee. Alright. You OVO niggas is dick riders. Tell them run to America to imitate heritage. They can't imitate this violence. Alright, back guys. The pizza rolls are in the fucking oven. Bro, 26 minutes.
Three endings, with an extra 3 variants on the vanilla ending leading to a total of 6. At least 6 that we know of at the moment. There are a few theories of even more endings, but so far they're not confirmed. And despite being more straightforward in explanation than its predecessors, Elden Ring still leaves a lot unsaid. And this means the endings may seem a bit vague. So in this video, I'm going to do my best to explain each of the 6 endings, and what they mean lore-wise to the world of the Lands Between. First, I want to note that all of the endings include the final boss fight. A 2-phase gauntlet, first against Radagon, Vessel of the Elden Ring, and then against the Elden Beast, an eldritch space worm thing, which is a representative of the Greater Will, and that became the Elden Ring itself. There is plenty of lore to discuss with these two, but they don't differ between the endings, so they won't be as much a focus of this video. I'll suffice to say that Radagon is Marika, and they are a conflicted vessel or housing of the Elden Ring. According to the item description for Marika's hammer, the weapon they used during their fight, with hammer in hand, Marika shattered the Elden Ring, and then Radagon attempted to repair it. They are meant to be the god of the Lands Between, but it seems that Marika developed other plans.
None of that, bro. None of that shit, bro.
The Elden Beast, however, is higher up on the food chain. According to the incantation Elden Stars, long ago the Greater Will sent a golden star bearing a beast into the Lands Between, which would later become the Elden Ring. The Greater Will is a great outer god, one of at least a few which exists outside the Lands Between. It is essentially the greater god of the Elden Ring, the Erd Tree, and the Golden Order. It's also very Lovecraftian. So the Elden Beast is a vassal of the Greater Will, and a living incarnation of the concept of order. It is also essentially the Elden Ring itself, the centerpiece of mainstream civilization, if we can call it that exists in the Lands
The
Between.
industry.
Once you overcome this utterly annoying boss fight, you are left on the stone platform to make your choice between the endings of Elden Ring. The basic vanilla ending is that of becoming the Elden Lord. There are 4 variants on this ending, with the most straightforward being that of the Age of Fracture. Most NPCs point you towards becoming the Elden Lord. It seems like that's the whole goal of the Return of the Tarnished. It's what the 2 Fingers and everyone in the Round Table holds says is what you need to do. So if you do it, and you play through the game without pursuing any extra quests, you get this ending. You become the Elden Lord and usher in the Age of Fracture. You do this by returning the head of fractured Marika and restoring the Elden Ring, with you as its lord. A golden hue returns to the sky and land, and you sit on the throne. But you may notice that the light is not of shining gold. In the shots of the leaves and the throne, the light is more like that of a sunset, with your shadow clearly visible in the orange light. Almost like the sun is setting on this age, despite your recent ascension to Lord. This is pretty unsurprising for From Software. This Age of Fracture reads like a simple continuation of the problems that led to the start of the game. The cycle is continued with nothing truly resolved. Oftentimes, the most straightforward ending in FromSoft games is not the one that thematically resolves the issues of the game. To some extent in Dark Souls, and really in Dark Souls 3, the basic ending of relinking the flame is simply prolonging the issue, continuing a cycle of stagnation that really should probably be broken. The Age of Fracture is just that. The Lands Between are still broken and beholden to the whims of the Greater Will. The sun is setting on this age, one unquestionably afflicted by stagnation, and one with not a thing resolved. This basic ending doesn't rock the boat, but it doesn't lead to a resolution either. Now we can explore the variant endings, where you still become an Elden Lord, but bring about a different age. First is the Age of Order. This ending is achieved by completing the questline for Goldmask and Brother Corrin. Adherents of the Golden Order and the Faith of the Erd Tree, completing their questline brings about the Mending Rune of Perfect Order, an item you can pick up from a dead Goldmask. This unlocks a choice at the end of the game to use this rune to mend the Elden Ring with, and if you do so, a golden circle surrounds the Elden Ring at the center of Marika. Golden light fills the sky and shines down from above, showering you, the Elden Lord, in gold. The description for the Mending Rune of Perfect Order states that it is a rune of transcendental ideology, which will attempt to perfect the Golden Order. The current imperfection of the Golden Order, or instability of ideology, can be blamed upon the fickleness of the gods, no better than men. That is the fly in the ointment. It also states that it was discovered, not created, by Goldmask, an important distinction that will come up later with the other variants. So this sounds like a better ending than the Age of Fracture. A flaw in the Golden Order was noticed, and Goldmask, a ceaseless watcher of the Erd Tree, discovered a possible solution. Though Brother Corrin is not so sure. If you speak to him in the ash-filled capital, he is on verge of a mental break.
The Master was nothing more than a madman, enchanted by a vain and ruinous delusion. He rejected the perfection of the Golden Order, seeking to supplant our glorious faith with his own. Could there be a more pitiable comedy? Look at it. The culmination of perfection, burning before our very eyes.
These niggas yapping.
He says that Goldmask was actually a madman, and that his final attempt to fix things, his discovery, is tantamount to heresy, a rejection of the Golden Order. Now, even if Corrin isn't the soundest judge, the description of the rune claims the current imperfection is caused by the fickleness of the gods, no better than men. But the new order we create rests on us, the Tarnished, and who's to say we do not share in such fickleness? There's no evidence that we, as the player character, or any other Tarnished, in terms of virtue, are any better than the gods. The new order may have a golden light, but it still seems to do its best to maintain the status quo of the Elden Ring and the Greater Will. The Age of Order is an improvement on the Age of Fracture, but it seems at best to be a better prolonging of fate, and a continuation of subjugation by an outer god.
I want to thank everybody for sticking with us throughout the years. I'm sorry about some of it.
Next is the Age of the Duskborn, brought about by completing the questline of death associated with Fia. Finishing this questline will award the player with the Mending Rune of the Death Prince, a rune gestated but not discovered by Fia. This ending has the Death Prince rune circumscribe the bottom of the Elden Ring. Then a misty gray shrouds the world, a rain of seeming ash under which no leaf stirs. In this gray rain, we sit as Elden Lord of a land that will know death for the first time in ages. The rune of the Death Prince is made up of the two curse marks of death, which appeared at the time of the death of the first demigod. This rune creates an order of Death Restored, a return of death after its confinement during the creation of the original Golden Order. This also, Fia hopes, stays the persecution of those who live in death, no longer to be hunted by the likes of people like Dee. So this is a significant departure from the original Order, as it brings back a core element of existence that the Order removed, the concept and possibility of death. Despite this being another
his
Elden
character
Lord
is
ending,
suited.
the original intent of the Elden Ring and the Greater Will seems to actually be mired. To what extent is left unclear though. As you still become an Elden Lord and conventionally restore the Elden Ring, this might just be a bump in the road for the designs of the Greater Will. Now, the possibility of death does allow for some thematic resolution, because the stagnation of endlessly living now has an answer: death. However, the simple presence of death doesn't seem to metaphysically change the world or the overarching situation of the lands between. So I'm not sure we can say that this ending brings with it much meaningful change. The final variant of becoming an Elden Lord is the Blessing of Despair, brought about by completing the Dung Eater's questline. Finishing this questline will award the player with the Mending Rune of the Fell Curse, a loathsome rune gestated by the Dung Eater. This ending has the Fell Curse rune cover the Elden Ring with its decrepit blight. The world is covered by an apocalyptic sky of swirling orange sores. The Erd Tree is a pale white. The leaves don't stir,
Oh,
and the
hell
throne
no.
is surrounded by a dank fog, and the Fell Curse defines the age. one of a blessing of despair. This ending is a fitting one to pair with the Dung Eater, a reviled curse of a man in his own right, and from him we can learn more about this blessing of despair. The Seabed Curse, the item which is needed to progress Dung's quest and achieve this ending, states that it is a curse grown on a corpse killed and defiled by the Dung Eater, a tender pox afflicted with omen horns. By doing so, he prevents dead souls returning to the Erd Tree, leaving them forever cursed, one of the most loathsome things found in the lands between. So, this action is a travesty to the normal order. The description of the curse rune says that when it is used on the Elden Ring, that the curse will last eternally, afflicting every generation of the world. But what is this affliction really? We know it prevents souls from returning to the Erd Tree, but if the Order and the Erd Tree are not benevolent entities, then this might not be a bad thing. It could be that, with that in mind, we can understand the name of this ending, how despair can be a blessing. After all, the description of the curse rune also states, if order is defiled entirely, defilement is defilement no more, and for every curse, a cursed blessing. Perhaps this total defilement of the order is able to bring out a world where separation from the Erd Tree is a blessing. Maybe such a separation could constitute a proper end to existence, a true death. Also important to note is the connection of the Fell Omen. The Seedbed Curse has omen horns. The full rune name is Mending Rune of the Fell Curse, and the Dung Eater's helm describes itself as a malformed helm resembling an omen with its horns cut off. So not the boils or pus that it might originally seem, but cut off omen horns is what dons the Dung Eater's armor. The helm also states of the Dung Eater himself that he has the heart of an omen without the body to match. Could there be any crueler existence? What does it matter then if the curse claims it all? So there are inexorable links to the omen, cursed and reviled beings. And this reads a bit nihilistic. After the suffering the omen have endured, responding in kind by cursing the world. So is this really a blessing found through despair, or simply a curse by another name? There are also possible connections to the boss Mo, twin of Morgott and Lord of Blood. He has a connection with an outer god other than the Greater Will, one called the Mother of Truth or the Formless Mother, who bestows power upon accursed blood, like the blood of the Omen. Some players think there might be another secret ending called the Age of the Blood that deals with Mo, but nothing concrete has been found. Though a connection between this Blessing of Despair ending and the secrets of the Omen does seem unquestionable.
There's nothing more powerful than you, making your thing happen. Really.
Okay, so that ends the variants of the Elden Lord ending. Next is the second major ending, the Age of Scars. This ending is brought about by completing the Witch Ranni's questline and summoning her to the stone platform. Initiating her blue summon sign will bring about a wholly new cutscene, in which Ranni is the one who returns the head of Fractured Marika. And then she speaks.
To every living being and every living soul. Now cometh the age of the stars. 1,000-year voyage under the wisdom of the moon. Here beginneth the chill night that encompasses all, reaching the great beyond. Into fear, doubt, and loneliness, as the path stretcheth into darkness.
Before you then take her hand as her eternal consort. This ending is both ominous and optimistic. Themes of fear, doubt, and loneliness are usually dark and frightful, but they also symbolize independence and a breakaway from dogmatic ideology, such as the faith of the Golden Order and Erdtree. You can actually speak with Ranni again after finishing her quest but before this ending. There is a new grace at the top of her rise, and here she explains the order she envisions.
I take it thou hast noticed. I shouldn't be surprised. I thought I might expound a little further upon the order I envision. Mine will be an order not of gold, but the stars and moon of the chill night. I would keep them far from the earth beneath our feet. As it is now, life and souls and order are bound tightly together. But I would have them at a great remove, and have the certainties of sight, emotion, faith, and touch all become impossibilities, which is why I would abandon this soil with mine order. Wouldst thou come to me even now, my one and only lord?
This dialogue falls in line with the final cutscene. Ranni rejects the machinations of the Greater Will and its representative, the Two Fingers. No order of its gold will be had. Instead, an order of loneliness where people do not have the crutch of fate. But perhaps, through this, they gain greater control of their own path, choosing how they wish to make their way through the darkness Ranni mentions. The description of Celestial Dew, the item you use to absolve your sins in the Church of Vows, might also hint at this. It states, "Once upon a time, the stars of the night sky guided fate," and this is a recollection of those times. A time when the night stars guided fate could mean there's some outer god associated with night and stars, but it could also mean something like what humans in our own world have done, using stars to navigate seas and lands, saving stories and legends in the constellations. In our new dark under the stars, we can find our own path and make use of the night sky as a tool, not for dogmatic decree, but as a part of our personal journey. So, and this is obviously my interpretation, a lot of this is, this Age of Stars ending bears similarity to what I would call the best or canon ending of Dark Souls 3, where you summon the Firekeeper and let the flame go out. That ending, too, is ominous, but it is also one of hope, of facing the new darkness to grow and progress, and doing so with the Firekeeper by your side. In Elden Ring, we the player take the more secondary role as Ranni's consort, but the motifs and thematic resolution are pretty much the same. This really leads me to favor this ending as the one most in line with the driving themes of the story. It gives the most resolution to the kinds of ideas touched on in the story, and it seems to me to be the best fit for a best or canon ending. Obviously, FromSoft leaves these endings interpretational because they enjoy the aspect of players determining their own story in the game, but even in a meta way, this ending aligns with that kind of vision, because it's the ending most free from control of any outside force. It is the ending symbolic of the player making their own story. And I also want to point out that this interpretation of the ending can find support in the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche, which bears influence not only on Berserk, an inspiration for the dark fantasy of FromSoft, and something directly paid homage to in this game of Elden Ring, but it also bears influence directly on some of FromSoft's themes. The ever-striving and overcoming challenge, especially in relation to the self, was extremely central to Nietzsche, and the themes present in this ending mirrors a lot of his work in the books Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Beyond Good and Evil, and The Gay Science. Nietzsche saw the end of faith in our own world, the death of God as he put it, as leaving us stranded, in fear and isolation, just as Ranni says. But while the end of this grand illusion may be disconcerting, it is also freeing. Nietzsche writes, "Finally the horizon seems clear again, even if not bright. Finally our ships may set out again, set out to face any danger. Every daring of the lover of knowledge is allowed again. The sea, our sea, lies open again. Maybe there has never been such an open sea." Just like the open sea of Nietzsche, the horizon of the Age of Stars is not bright, but it is clear. Darkness abounds, but the stars dot the sky, and the living beings of the lands between are free to make their own voyage. Finally, we have the third main ending, the Lord of Frenzied Flame. This ending is different because it is achieved by finding and interacting with the Three Fingers at some point during the game. Not the Two Fingers, but the Three Fingers, the ones behind the spells of Frenzy and Frenzied Flame. Once this interaction condition is met, you are locked into the ending, and you activate it by simply interacting with Fractured America at the end of the game. You can actually unlock yourself from this ending, but to achieve it, you have to be locked into it. If you find the Three Fingers below the capital before you end the game, you become marked with burns and fingerprints, and your eyes take on the glow of the Chaos Flame. Then, at the end, you become Lord of the Frenzied Flame. The head of Fractured America will crumble, your head will be replaced by an orb of chaos flame, and that flame will engulf the world, obliterating the Erd Tree and setting the lands between alight in yellow fire and fingerprints of the three fingers. There is no narration to this ending, just the sound of fire crackle and smolder and ominous howls and strings. The very sky itself seems to burn. So this ending is ostensibly bad. The utter destruction is hard to view as anything else, but it is important to understand what's happening before we pass judgment. If you complete Hayete's questline, she is waiting nearby the Three Fingers. She can become your maiden and tell you the words of the Three Fingers.
All that there is came from the one great. Then came fractures, and births, and souls. But the greater will made a mistake. Torment, despair, affliction, every sin, every curse, every the mistake. And so, what was borrowed must be returned.
Be right back. Okay. Back. Continue.
Melted all away with the yellow chaos flame until all is one again.
The Three Fingers would have you burn it all away with the chaos flame until all is one again, in Evangelion fashion. So this ending is one of coalescence. Through a destructive process, all is brought together into one entity. This one great is ambiguous. Perhaps everything was once it, or perhaps it formed a single outer god, or all the life in the realm of the lands between's world. It is also hard to see exactly the relation between the greater will and the entity behind the Three Fingers, what the wiki calls the frenzied flame. If we take the 2 fingers and the 3 fingers together, we get 5 fingers, or a whole hand. Perhaps they used to be this one great, before the greater will split them to create its own path or domain. There's also the fact that the frenzied flame and its incantations have to do with madness. Many of the incantations turn others mad, which plays into the Lovecraftian idea of his great old ones, otherworldly gods or entities from space. Encountering these beings is too much for a human mind to comprehend. So, in Lovecraft's stories, it goes mad or insane when it nears them. The outer gods of Elden Ring share many parallels with Lovecraft's deities, especially in the ocean sea monster that is the Elden Beast, and in the incomprehensibility of the frenzied flame. While this ending is a departure from the plans of the greater will, it is simply an arrival in the plans of another great being, another outer god. The subsuming of everything into the yellow flame also seems too bleak to be a satisfying ending to our tale. It is surely an intriguing and grandiose finale, but it leaves out much of the rich themes present throughout the story. Oh, and I almost forgot one more thing. If you lock into this ending before Melina burns herself, your body acts as kindling, and she doesn't die. Instead, we get a new cutscene at the end, of Melina, with eyes switched, promising to hunt us down. She is reminiscent of Ranni, with their respective closed eyes and Ranni's shadow face, and overall, I have little reason to think that Melina is a malicious actor. So I'm chalking this up to another point against this ending, as it...
I haven't beat the game yet, but I beat the hardest boss in it. So everything else, I'm finna finish it out tonight. We finna end it.
Achieving proper resolution. So there we have the known endings to Elden Ring explained. I do want to make note that another theorized yet unconfirmed ending, the Age of Absolute, is one that has been tossed around a bit and with more substantiation than the Age of Blood. This ending of the...
This will revolutionize your shaving routine, all thanks to Manscaped.com and their handyman comment.
This video is about the story of Elden Ring. This will cover all the important characters relevant to the main story, including most bosses and some NPCs, as well as explain what happened before we arrive in the lands between, who we play as, and what the endings of the game mean. Sections of this video are separated via chapters located on the timeline should you need to rewatch a specific section again. As always, spoiler warning ahead, if you haven't beaten Elden Ring, I highly recommend you do that and then come back, as everything after this point will be spoiler territory. With that out of the way, like the video if you enjoy, and let's get started. So the location of Elden Ring is in a place called the Lands Between. This is a land ruled by a Queen Marika. It was once ruled by a dragon lord, but it said that when its god abandoned them, they sat in slumber awaiting their return, which left the spot for the ruler open. This title was given to her by someone known as the Greater Will. When you become the ruler of the Lands Between, you also become a vessel for the Elden Ring. The Elden Ring is the single most powerful thing in the Lands Between. Its power is what created the Erdtree, and it is meant to uphold different concepts like life, death, space, and many others. It also defines the logic of the world, called the Golden Order, which is a law the residents of the Lands Between abide by. The Greater Will is an outer god, and it's said to have sent down a star that held a beast that would later become the Elden Ring. The Elden Beast, the final boss of the game, is defined as a vassal for the Greater Will and the living embodiment of the concept of order. To become the ruler of the Lands Between, the ruler will need 3 things. They need to be an Empyrean and must have a consort and a shadow. A consort is just the spouse that they marry, who in Marika's case was Godfrey. A shadow is the protector of that ruler, and an Empyrean is someone who is born from a single god. Talking with Ranni towards the end of her questline reveals that her, Miquella, and Melania are considered Empyreans.
Let us speak of the past a while. I was once an Empyrean, of the demigods. Only I, Miquella, and Melania could claim that title. Each of us was chosen by our own 2 fingers, as a candidate to succeed Queen Marika, to become the new god of the coming age.
That means there is a clear distinction between a demigod like Godric and an Empyrean like Melania. Melania, Miquella, and Ranni are still considered demigods, but there is that Empyrean part of them that separates them from the rest. The question, though, is how is this possible? So when Marika became the first ruler, she wasn't fond of the idea of death in her land, so she removed the Rune of Death from the Elden Ring and forced it onto her shadow, who was Melikath. Instead of protecting her as the shadow would, she betrayed him and just used him as a way to keep the death away from her land. With the Rune of Death out of the Elden Ring, it allowed Marika and many others to gain immortality. Shortly after this, she needed a consort who would then be Godfrey, and now that Godfrey was her husband, he also received the title of Elden Lord, making him the first Elden Lord. This isn't entirely true, as there is a lore that does suggest the very first Elden Lord was possibly Dragon Lord Placidus that we fight in Fara Missoula, but I think either no one knew of the Dragon Lord or Godfrey was the first Elden Lord during his own age, which was the Age of the Erd Tree, which was much later than when Placidus was Elden Lord. Regardless, Godfrey and Marika had 2 kids, which were Godwyn and Godric. This is easily identifiable thanks to the God prefix in their names. There were more kids besides them, but more on them later. During this time, war had been going on against the Golden Order, and another person named Radagon had been involved in the conflict, but decided to usher peace by marrying Lady Renala, queen of the Carian royal family. When the two were together, they ended up having children as well, being named Radahn, Rykard, and Ranni. Once again, all of them start with an R, just like Radagon and Renala's first name. After the war had finished, it was said that the hue of Godfrey's eyes had faded, possibly meaning he had served his purpose and was no longer needed, as soon after he was exiled and became the very first Tarnished. But now Marika is without a consort, so she sought out Radagon. Radagon then left Renala and joined Marika at the Erd Tree and became her new husband and the new Elden Lord. And since he was an Elden Lord, his children by proxy were allowed to be a part of the royal family, which is why they have thrones at the royal capital despite not being Marika's offspring. Once again, Radagon and Marika were together and they had even more kids, that being the twins Miquella and Melania. This may stir up some confusion, as I just mentioned that an Empyrean has to be born from a single god, yet Ranni, Miquella, and Melania were all born by 2 parents. Well, as we discover later in the game, Marika is Radagon. There's a statue in Lindell that has a riddle that says, "Regression alone reveals secrets." By using the spell Laws of Regression in front of the statue, it changes its form and the text changes to Radagon is Marika. Now, I'll be completely honest, it is never explained how this happened and what exactly this means, and it's probably the biggest question that has been unanswered so far in the community. Some have come up with some theories regarding this, such as the 2 being separate entities who were fused together somehow, or it's one body that suffers from dissociative identity disorder. However, the other question that remains is who was first, although I do believe there is an answer to this. Given the Empyrean status and the greater will giving her the lands between, I think Queen Marika was first. But this riddle now explains why Radagon left Renala for Marika and why Miquella and Melania are considered Empyrean since their parents are the same as Renala for Marika and why Marika was first. But this riddle now explains why Radagon left Renala for Marika and why Miquella and Melania are considered Empyrean since their parents are the same person, which then fits the rules of that one god stipulation. This has been quite the family tree, so a huge shout out to
The blade, which is Malekith. Ephesians and consorts.
Who just ambling on Reddit for creating this easy to read graphic. The only outliers here at the moment are Marika's parents, but seeing as she's an Empyrean, it's not as simple to answer, plus we get 0 info on her parents anyway. But besides them, the only one left is Melikath, Marika's shadow, and the keeper of the Rune of Death. According to his armor description, Melikath is actually her half-brother who wielded a blade imbued with the Rune of Death. This is a good time to explain this, as if you noticed from the actual description, it says Destined Death. Well, the finger reader at the round table hold clarifies that the Rune of Death goes by 2 names, and the other is Destined Death.
The Rune of Death goes by 2 names. The other is Destined Death. The forbidden shadow plucked from the Golden Order upon its creation.
For simplicity's sake, unless entirely necessary, I will refer to it as just the Rune of Death to avoid any further confusion. The final character of this family tree we haven't thoroughly talked about is Ranni. Earlier in the game, a witch known as Renna meets with us. However, this is Ranni. She's just using a different name in order to disguise her identity. Ranni was born under Renala and Radagon, 2 separate people, yet is considered an Empyrean. It's still not clear as to why this is the case, but my only working theory is that Renala is her adoptive mother, but we'll discuss that in the bosses chapter. Regardless, it's not that big of a deal anyway, since she didn't want to be an Empyrean. This sequence of events would eventually lead to the Shattering.
This is why I stopped shopping on Amazon, and you should too. Don't spend another dime on Amazon until you watch this first.
Watch this.
Depending on who you ask, the Shattering might be considered the greatest war ever fought or the worst tragedy the land has ever seen. Ranni, wanting to be anything but an Empyrean, worked against Marika, the Greater Will, and the Two Fingers and devised a plan. One day, she stole the Rune of Death from Malekith. With that power, she created daggers able to kill the demigods. On that same night, called the Night of the Black Knives, a group of assassins called the Black Knife Assassins would kill the first demigod, Godwyn. It's also interesting to note here that according to the Black Knife armor description, all of the members of this group were women, and they're all rumored to be Numen, which you may remember as one of the default races in the character creation. They also have close ties to Marika, which may mean that Marika is of Numen descent. It doesn't really give us much regarding her backstory, but it is worth knowing anyway. Back to the intro, when Godwyn was killed, he had a mark on his body. This is considered the Curse Mark of Death, an item we could receive during Ranni's questline. This curse mark appeared the moment Godwyn was killed, but this symbol, however, is incomplete as it should have been a full circle. The reason it's only half is because two demigods died at the same time, breaking the curse in two half circles. The other god was Ranni herself. As Ranni says, she wanted to strip away her Empyrean flesh so that nothing of her was related to the Two Fingers. Both of these demigods had the opposite happen to them. Ranni's body was dead, but her soul lived on, and Godwyn's soul was destroyed, but his body survived. This not only explains why Ranni's new body is a doll, but also why Godwyn was seemingly reborn after he was killed. Godwyn was given the name the Prince of Death because of this encounter and is related to Fia's questline where she tries to resurrect him. After hearing the news of Godwyn's death, Marika, possibly in a fit of rage, shattered the Elden Ring. One thing to remember, of course, is the distinction between Radagon and Marika, because Marika's hammer reads the tool with which Queen Marika shattered the Elden Ring, and Radagon attempted to repair it. This is once again left up to the community to decide, as it's never explained, but my working theory, and furthermore my theory between Radagon and Marika, is that originally they were separate people, but something fused them together, possibly the Greater Will. In regards to the Shattering situation, I think each of them, despite being the same person, act differently, which explains why Marika specifically broke the ring, and why Radagon specifically is trying to repair it. With the shards of the Elden Ring scattered everywhere across the lands between, all the demigods were attempting to gather all the shards. The intro then shows a slideshow of some of the demigods, like Mo, the Lord of Blood, taking Miquella away, a serpent biting a helmet, which is related to Rykard, symbolizing how he became the Lord Serpent, and then the iconic fight between Malenia and Radahn. The problem is that during this war, nobody won. The land was stuck in a stalemate, with the demigods that were left standing holding pieces of the Elden Ring, but nobody was close to owning all of them. This stalemate left things unchanged, and the land was covered in ruins, with some areas like Caelid being covered in rot and disease. Furthermore, none of the demigods are making moves on each other, as they prefer to defend their land rather than fight to take others' land and subsequently the shards. So something was needed to break this stalemate, which is where we come in. We are called Tarnished. During the age before the Shattering, called the Age of the Erd Tree, the golden power of the Erd Tree would drop down from its branches and spread across the lands between. It blessed many throughout the land, but also refused to bless others for an unknown reason. These people were considered tarnished, those who aren't worthy of the Erd Tree and are looked down upon by the eyes of the Golden Order. This exile we receive refused to bless branches and spread across the lands between. It blessed many throughout the land, but also refused to bless others for an unknown reason. These people were considered tarnished, those who aren't worthy of the Erd Tree and are looked down upon by the eyes of the Golden Order. This exile we received is similar to Godfrey's exile, as he was deemed useless by the Greater Will and the Golden Order, which is symbolized by him losing the golden color in his eyes. We are deemed unworthy by the Greater Will, so it has no use for us in the lands between, which means we're considered tarnished and are forced to leave. But when the Shattering occurred, the lands between was in disarray, and because it still wanted to hold on to its power, the Greater Will blessed the previously exiled Tarnished in hopes that it will return and restore the Golden Order. It was even able to bless many Tarnished who are dead like us. Of the other Tarnished, the important ones listed in the intro are Horalu, Chieftain of the Badlands, the Brilliant Gold Mask, Fia the Deathbed Companion, the Loathsome Dung Eater, and Gideon Ulfnir the All-Knowing. Our objective as this new Tarnished is to cross the fog back into the lands between, stand before the Elden Ring, and become the Elden Lord. The key here, however, is Elden Lord, not the ruler, meaning we are never meant to usurp Marika from her position, merely bring the runes together so that everything can go back to normal.
Confer great rules to become Elden Lord
and join Queen Marika as her consort. The Fingers have willed it so.
This, however, did not happen thanks to us committing the very first cardinal sin later in the game, which was the burning of the Erd Tree, and more on that a bit later. So as a tarnished resident of the Lands Between, we are eagerly ready to take on the demigods until we're killed by the first enemy we face. But we are somehow able to get back up again. Vare, right at the beginning of the game, explains that the guidance of grace, the same light that guides us towards the bosses in-game, is what gives us tarnished life, meaning it can revive us. It's also possible that the Rune of Death also affects us too, since the removal of the rune made people immortal in the Lands Between, which may explain our revival. For those who don't know, most if not all the Soulsborne games always had a reason as to why death was canon, so it's hard to believe that it wouldn't exist in Elden Ring 2. After exploring the Lands Between, we'll run into Melina, the girl from earlier in the intro. She tells us that she will become our finger maiden since we are maidenless, except later she apologizes as she isn't actually a maiden. So she offers us a deal. If we can continue to work with her and bring her to the foot of the Erd Tree so that she can meet with her mother and discover her purpose, she will continue to act as our maiden and allow us to level up. There's a lot more to Melina's story, but I'll save that for later when we discuss the endings. After some time, she will then introduce us to the Round Table Hold, the covert operation base for the Two Fingers, and a place where tarnished champions guided by grace can reside. Most of them, however, don't seem too keen on becoming Elden Lord. In fact, it really feels like us and Gideon are really working towards that goal. Many of them just seem to want to save shelter away from the danger outside. According to Gideon, we aren't going to get a proper welcome into the Round Table though until we defeat a Shard Bear, and the first one we can defeat is Godric. But before we meet Godric, we have to talk about Margit. Margit, the Fell Omen, is a recurring character in the game, as he not only shows up again in the Altuist Plateau, but also shows up at the foot of the Erd Tree under the name Morgoth the Omen King. Earlier I talked about children we haven't discussed yet, and that is Morgoth and Mo. If you remember from before, we talked about how Miquella and Melania are twins. This is the same with Morgoth and Mo. Godric's Great Rune says that Elden Lord Godfrey and his offspring were the very first demigods, and that line of children was known as the Golden Lineage. Morgoth's rune says that he was a part of this golden lineage, and Mo's Great Rune says that him and Morgoth are twins, so it makes sense that they're a part of the lineage together. However, a curse afflicted both of them. Omen babies born of royalty do not have their horns cut, but instead are kept underground and imprisoned for eternity. It seems that they were permanently chained, as we can find an item called Margit's Shackle, which is a small part of a few larger shackles that were made to bind Margit. Morgoth, once again also known as Margit, was cursed, but it seems like he didn't hold any ill will against the Golden Order, as despite never being loved by anyone, he still continued to give out his own love and become the Erd Tree's protector. As for his twin, during his imprisonment, Mo was sought out by someone only known as the Formless Mother. The Formless Mother is an outer god similar to the Greater Will, but with more sinister plans. He, by the will of the Formless Mother, was attempting to make Miquella the new ruler of the Lands Between. He would then rule as his consort, and the Formless Mother would then be able to control the Lands Between, just as the Greater Will can now. Miquella and Melania once again were twins born from Radigan and Marika, and since they're the same person, this fit within the rules of them being an Empyrean. This explains why Mo wants Miquella as the ruler and not himself, because he isn't an Empyrean. According to more item descriptions, the Formless Mother only seeks out those of accursed blood, which is why he was chosen. It also seems like he couldn't just make Miquella become the ruler right away, because Miquella hasn't achieved full godhood yet. It's unclear why, but it could be related to Miquella's own curse, something we'll discuss a bit later. Getting back on track, after Margit we can meet with Godric the Grafted. Godric grows to power through the act of grafting. According to Rajir, he states that there are tarnished hunters in this castle that will take our corpse to Godric so that we can be grafted to him. It's clear that Godric ruled his castle with fear, as not many would dare oppose him out of fear of becoming a part of him. So it's quite hilarious when you return to his arena and find one of his servants kicking his corpse repeatedly. Godric was a feeble old man with no real power, but he wanted to prove to the others that he deserved the title of Lord by using fear and manipulation to get his way. But it's quite obvious that he's bluffing, as without the grafting, he's barely even a competent fighter. Our next boss we meet is Lady Renala, Queen of the Full Moon. The Academy of Raya Lucaria was at odds with a group called the Carian Royal Family. Both practiced different versions of glintstone magic and attempted to be the better sorcerers, but due to the age of the Erd Tree, many of its residents in the Lands Between found power and hope in the Golden Order, making glintstone sorcery useless. The royal family then withered away during this time, and so did the Academy, but it wasn't until the Shattering that the Academy had a resurgence in power. In her youth, Renala became a prominent champion who charmed the Academy with her lunar magic. She also commanded the Glintstone Knights and established the House of Karya as royalty. However, despite being a champion and a renowned sorceress, she became heartbroken thanks to Ratigan leaving her. She then became a shell of her former self, and it was only then that the Academy members discovered that she wasn't a champion after all. Later, the Academy would then rebel against the Karyan royal family, then lock her away in the Grand Library. Shortly after this, the Shattering would occur, so the Academy was permanently locked down as no one wanted to participate in the Shattering, so they were left out of the destruction. Upon entering the Grand Library, we can see a ton of kids as well as Lady Renala and Amber Egg in her arms. After defeating her first phase, Ranni starts speaking, saying that we're trespassing and are not allowed to disturb her. As we know, Ranni is the daughter of Renala, but this doesn't make a whole lot of sense though, as Ranni is an Empyrean who was born from two parents, which leads me to believe that Renala is the adoptive mother and not the birth mother of Ranni. Regarding this whole sequence, I also think this was a spell casted by Ranni just in case anyone had intentions of harming Renala. Not only is the boss arena completely different, but right after defeating her again, we can see that she is just lying on the ground. This leads me to believe that this spell was an illusion made by Ranni so that she could protect her. That egg she carries, however, is the last thing ever given to her by Ratigan before he left. It seems to also have the power of rebirth, so either she is holding on to this item because he gave it to her and it's quite precious to her, or she's possibly waiting for the eventual rebirth of Ratigan through this egg. I hope it's not the latter, as that wish won't come true since Ratigan is clearly alive. Regardless of its significance, it's clear that Renala still hasn't gotten over her ex-husband and has been ruined because of it. She is no longer the queen of the full moon and is barely even a sorcerer anymore. During her boss fight, the kids are actually more troublesome than she is, with her only attack being the occasional chandelier falling. After fending off the illusion, we then can return to Renala, who gives up her Great Rune and offers us a chance to respec our stats. Seeing as we have the Great Rune and she is clearly in no state to fight, there's no reason to kill her, so we just let her live. Our third boss is Radahn, who resides in Caelid, a land that has been infested with scarlet rot thanks to Malenia and her curse. Radahn is considered a champion of the Shattering and may have one of the best backstories in this whole game. When Radahn was younger, he looked up to Godfrey as he loved how strong he was in battle. So when Radahn was able to wear his own personal armor, he had a chest piece made with a lion on the front to symbolize Godfrey's beast regent, Sirash. He also looked up to his father and was proud of his accomplishments, so he grew out his long red hair and wore it with pride. As he grew older, he started taking after these two figures in his life and wanted to become as strong as they were. But whether it was because of genetics or the amount of strength he received during this, he started growing in size. This troubled him, as due to his size and weight, he wouldn't be able to ride his horse that he's had for his whole life. So he went to Sela in Caelid, which is called the Town of Sorcery. It was there where he learned gravitational magic and was able to manipulate the ground around him and be able to call swords to his hands, but more importantly, he was also able to affect his own body weight, meaning he could ride his horse without crushing it. We know this not only because we can see him do many attacks while using gravity, but the symbol for gravity magic is the same symbol on his swords. Furthermore, it's known that the Elden Ring commands the stars just as it commands the other concepts of the world like life and death, but General Radahn is considered the Star Scourge and seems to be able to control the stars. This is because the cutscene after his death has all the previous stars held in the sky by him come crashing down, one of which actually lands right near us, causing a massive explosion. But the difference between General Radahn and many of the other boss fights is that it's not a normal boss fight, as upon entering Caelid and making our way to the back of the castle, we can see that there is other people here. Blythe and Alexander are here, assuming you met with them prior, as well as other characters we may meet in the future like Okina, Lionel, and Target. The reason they are here is because they're all participating in the Radahn Festival, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity where you can face General Radahn in battle and claim his Great Rune. We can summon all these people to fight with us, including many people who weren't there for the festival, such as a Finger Maiden and even Patches. The organizer of the festival gives us a backstory of Radahn, and his current state is not too great. If you recall from an old trailer, Malenia and Radahn fought at this very place. Well, during this fight, Malenia pierced Radahn, injecting scarlet rot into his body. Do you remember earlier when I said that the twins were cursed? Well, whereas Mikola is cursed to an eternal childhood, never becoming anything older than a boy, Malenia is cursed by being forced to harbor a rot within inside her body. All the rot in Caelid is most likely because of her. We can see the effect that it has on her face and limbs, but when we get to phase 2 of the boss fight, we can not only see how much of her body's been affected, but also how much control she has over this disease. Getting back to Radahn, she ended up using this rot to corrupt him. Now he is just a blood-hungry beast, with the only thing on his mind about what his next meal is going to be and what the next kill will be. This festival seems to have been created by Radahn himself or by an organizer trying to help Radahn. Jiren is the name of the organizer here at the castle, and after defeating Radahn, he thanks us for the fight, as not only was that a spectacular battle, but we were able to give Radahn his final wish, which was to die an honorable death. He couldn't stand the current state he was living in and wanted someone to end his life, but it would be dishonorable for a general like him to die from suicide or surrender, so an honorable fight to the death was the only way for him to feel at peace. But now that General Radahn is dead, there is only one rune left. Praetor Rykard is a unique case in the world of the Lands Between. He lies at the bottom of Mount Gelmir, the location of the most appalling battle in the Shattering. Rykard committed the grave sin of blasphemy. He spoke out against the Golden Order as he was bothered by the Greater Will and the Golden Order's willingness to just cast aside those deemed unworthy for no reason. Many people would flock to Rykard and his castle, the Volcano Manor, but people started having doubts about his decision. A spirit near the castle is seen atop a pile of bodies in pain and says that if he had known that this blasphemy would have caused this much destruction, he wouldn't have tolerated his decision. Given that many of those in the Lands Between believe in the Golden Order, it's quite obvious why many would hate Rykard and his followers, as they're actively going against what they preach. This probably led to many crusades against Rykard, which negatively impacted the livelihoods of all his people. Upon entering the manor, we can meet Tanith. She then asks us if we've ever harbored any doubts about the guidance of grace and the Golden Order, and if we do say yes, then she'll invite us to the Volcano Manor family. She goes on to explain that the Tarnished were blessed with grace like everyone else in the Lands Between, but it's clear that the Tarnished didn't get their fair share. Rykard refused to bow down to this and believes that if the Erdtree would debase them, then they're willing to go against the Golden Order, even if it's considered heresy. So as a member, our job is to seek out those who are aligned with the Erdtree and the Golden Order. This is in the form of a few NPCs we are tasked with invading, but the manor also gives us a recusant finger, which allows us to invade other players' worlds. So all the players we invade are technically the Tarnished she speaks of, which is why we're tasked with eliminating them. After a few contracts have been completed, upon coming back, we see a spirit sitting in the corner. He's preaching to the manor and hopes someone will heed his words. He wants us to eliminate the Great Serpent, the one who devoured Praetor Rykard. Seeing as it was him against the whole kingdom, since everyone disagreed with him and continued to align with the Golden Order, Praetor Rykard required more power so that he may fight on an even level. This is when he met the Great Serpent. It seems that the Serpent promised him power as long as Rykard was willing to be eaten by him. Rykard agreed and became the Lord Serpent. Thankfully, this spirit has given us a way to defeat him by letting us know of the power that resides in the Serpent Hunter, a weapon specifically designed to kill the serpent. The fight is quite trivial with this weapon, as it should be, but during his second phase he pulls out a sword, and as we can see from the weapon, it has moving hands, which were all from his previous victims. It's quite sad to think about all the people in their past lives and accomplishments now being withered down to nothing, as now they're just a part of the serpent family stuck in this hell forever. We can actually talk to some of the members of the Volcano Manor after defeating Rykard, and none of them seem upset. Bernal believes that the strong take and the weak suffer, so by killing him we prove that Rykard was weak. Tanith even agrees and thanks us for showing them how weak Rykard really was. The only problem is that Rykard's immortal. It just takes time for him to get back to full strength, and should we return to the boss arena, we can see Rykard's body repairing itself while Tanith holds him. So it seems that Rykard will eventually come back. How long that will take is unknown, but just like before, we have the Great Runes, so currently our job is done. With all the Great Runes in our possession, we can travel to Lindell, the royal capital, and go to the Erdtree. Here's where we meet numerous knights and tree sentinels, truly showing how powerful this army really is. There is also a one-to-one version of the Round Table Hold in here. This is most likely the real Round Table, and the one we're taken to is just a copy, since the Shattering ruined much of the land and caused this residence to close off its walls. As we remember, only certain people can enter the Round Table. It's not a building that people can just waltz right into, which may explain why on the map the Round Table Hold is off to the very side, symbolizing that it's separate than the one in the Lands Between. On top of this, since we made it to the capital, Melina leaves our side since we fulfilled our deal and brought her to the Erdtree. But when we ourselves get close to the Erdtree, Godfrey attempts to stop us. This is clearly a spirit version of him, and it's possible given the golden color that it's Godfrey's remembrance from during the war before he was tarnished. All the remembrances we gather in-game are memories of the bosses, and these memories are all a part of the Erdtree. Later in the game, we will actually end up fighting Godfrey in his actual form, but when we defeat him, he meet Morgott, and since we already discussed him quite a bit, I won't repeat myself. However, he does let us know who the thrones are for, which was Godric, Mikola, Melania, Radahn, Rykard, and Ranni. He also calls them all traitors, which is quite interesting. I think it's because Morgott believes that they are fighting so they can claim the power of the Elden Ring for themselves and become the new Elden Lord, but Morgott, being the protector of the Erd Tree, finds this a disgraceful act, as it's clear that they only really care about the power that comes with the Elden Lord title, and not about protecting the Erd Tree and the Golden Order. After defeating Morgott, we can talk to him momentarily, and he calls us a fool, saying that the Erd Tree doesn't open for anyone, and that no one will be able to claim the title of Elden Lord, and it seems that Morgott himself tried to attempt this and wasn't allowed inside. To prove his statement, we walk up the steps and discover we can't enter. The Erd Tree has rejected us. The Erd Tree is covered by impassable thorns that cannot be cut. Melina then arrives again and explains to be Elden Lord we must pass through the thorns, and the only way to burn them is to go to the snowy mountaintops of the giants and use its smoldering flame to set the Erd Tree on fire. We can then talk to the Finger Reader back at the Round Table Hold to get more insight on this, and she goes on to explain that because of this sudden turn of events, which is us being rejected by the Erd Tree, the Two Fingers is currently consulting with the Greater Will, but we likely won't get an answer for thousands of years. We then tell her our immediate plan to burn the thorns and is shocked by the idea, claiming that the Snowy Mountains is not a place for mere men and that burning the Erd Tree is the first cardinal sin, something the Fingers and the Greater Will never agree to. Furthermore, we then explain our next step in the process, which is to unleash the Rune of Death. When we make it to the highest point in the mountains, we talk with Melina, who tells us that she will be the kindling required to burn the tree. Earlier, the Finger Reader told us that this ritual requires a sacrifice, and Melina is willing to be that sacrifice. Before she disappears, though, she does deliver a few words and goes on to say that throughout her life she has seen death and discrimination everywhere, convincing her that the lands between is in dire need of repair. This sort of implies that she has lived quite a long life, something that connects to a theory of mine later in the game. As we touch hands once more, she takes our power and uses it and the smoldering flames nearby to create a flame big enough to set her and the tree ablaze. Afterwards, we wake up in Fara Missoula. Not much is known about this place, but I believe this was the temple in the sky. Throughout the lands between are ruins of a fallen city. The ruin fragments we pick up are believed to be a part of a temple in the sky, and the only place in-game that fits that description would be Fara Missoula. As we explore the area, we run into the Beast Clergyman again, the same one in Caelid who we give the Death Root to, assuming you followed through with that questline. He then attacks us since we are clearly here to steal the Rune of Death from him, and he doesn't want it stolen again. This is a nice piece of foreshadowing, as soon after defeating him, he reveals his true form to be Malekith the Black Blade, the shadow of Marika and the owner of the Rune of Death. Now it makes sense why we were feeding him Deathroot during his questline, as the description reads, after the death of Godwyn, the Rune of Death spread across the lands between through the underground roots of the Great Tree, sprouting in the form of Deathroot. Malekith, being the owner of the Rune of Death, would obviously want his power back, so by consuming the Deathroot, we are giving it back to him. Upon his death, a weird object sprouts from his shadowy ashes. This is the Rune of Death, and because it's unbound, the lands between are now shrouded in a dark fate, and the Greater Will is not happy about that. We pass out again and awake in Lindell, but now it's covered in ashes. It seems like we have a straight path to the Erd Tree now, but nothing is ever simple in this game. Blocking our path is Gideon and Godfrey. Gideon appears in Godfrey's chamber, and the long-awaited fight ensues. Gideon and us have been gunning for the Elden Lord position all game, so it was only a matter of time before we faced off together, except that's not what's happening. Gideon immediately says that nobody will become the Elden Lord, and that Marika has plans for all of us, and that plan being that we struggle for eternity. So why this sudden change of heart? Gideon, during his journey to obtain all knowledge, may have uncovered some details about Marika that changed his mind. The all-knowing helmet description reads, knowledge begins with the recognition of one's ignorance, the realization that the search of knowledge is unending. But when Gideon glimpsed into the will of Queen Marika, he shuddered in fear. At the end, that should not be. Something terrified Gideon so much that completely changed his mind about being the Elden Lord. My guess was most likely the relationship between the Greater Will and Marika, or maybe even the Elden Beast as well. As for Godfrey, he appears in normal human form this time, and we can see him holding Morgott in his arms. Godfrey then spots us and recognizes us immediately as the Tarnished Warrior, the one who's been conquering many before him. Godfrey wants to obtain the Elden Lord title again, and since that conflicts with our goals, we have to fight him. After half his health is gone, he uses Siraj to gain more power and reveals that his true form is Horalu, the chieftain of the Badlands. When Godfrey and the other Tarnished had been forced out of the lands between, this act was called the Long March, and when the Long March had finished, Godfrey and the other Tarnished had started their own civilization. And it was during this time that Godfrey possibly wanted to cut all ties away from him in the lands between, so he adopted the name Horalu. However, with Godfrey finished, nothing stands in our way. When we enter the room, we see Marika chained to a part of the Elden Ring, but eventually she breaks free, but her hair turns red and we realize that Radagon is now in control. It seems to me that their bodies change when one takes control, as Marika and Radagon seem to have different physiques when viewed up close, like Marika having a skinnier body in the absence of breasts when Radagon is in control. This may not be entirely true, however, since it's quite hard to look at their bodies while you're being attacked, but this at least confirms that there are two people in one body. However, we still don't know if they were two separate people that then became one, or if it was always one body to begin with. After the fight is over, Radagon starts becoming engulfed in a black mist as a hand reaches out and takes him underneath the pool of sludge. Out of this sludge arises the Elden Beast, probably one of the coolest looking bosses in the Soulsborne franchise. We've already discussed the Elden Beast in detail earlier, but as a reminder, the Elden Beast is the vassal for the Greater Will and is the living embodiment of the concept of order. But the question is, why are we fighting Radagon and the Elden Beast in the first place? Remember, the point of our journey was to become the Elden Lord and be a consort for Marika, so why are they killing the one person who is able to fill that role? One is possibly due to the fact that we are tarnished, and even attempting to become Elden Lord does go against the Golden Order, but it may also have to do with the Greater Will and a secret agenda that it has. It's clear that the Greater Will wants Marika as the ruler of the Lands Between, and to have the Elden Ring repaired so the Golden Order can be stable again. But since that stalemate occurred, it needed help, which is why I called the Tarnished back to the Lands Between. The Greater Will more than likely had a plan in mind, but since we burned the Erd Tree and unbound the Rune of Death, it most likely casted all of that aside and just opted to kill us as we committed a cardinal sin. Regardless of its intentions, the Elden Beast is defeated and the Greater Will seems to have no power over the Lands Between anymore. It's unclear whether or not the Greater Will is truly dead though, or if its power is truly gone, as the Elden Beast is just a vassal for the Greater Will, which is much different than a vessel. Marika is a vessel for the Elden Ring, whereas the Elden Beast is a vassal for the Greater Will, so it acts in accordance to the Greater Will's wishes. So I think the Greater Will still does exist in some way, but doesn't really have as much control over the Lands Betweens as it used to. With the Elden Beast slain, we now reach the ending of the game, and it's here where I have to be a bit honest with all of you. I don't know all the endings of Elden Ring, and depending on when you watch this video, you don't either. Despite what many believe, there is in fact more than 4 endings in the game, and at the time of making this video, there is a total of 6 confirmed endings with a 7 still under investigation. I normally don't make these videos until everything has been discovered so we can get the full picture, but this could take an undetermined amount of time to figure out, so if you'll forgive me, I'd like to discuss these endings with all of you anyway. So the very first ending is the default one, that all players will be able to obtain, which is the Age of Fracture. This shows the player mending the body and runes back together and becoming the Elden Lord like we set out to do. The Lands Between seems to go back to normal, but is a fractured version of what it once was thanks to the Shattering and all the demigods we slayed on our path here. The next 3 endings are all tied to character quests and are the same ending but with slight alterations in 2 different places. The Age of Duskborn is from Fia's questline, where we use the Mending Rune of the Death Prince she provides us at the end of her questline as a way to mend all the runes back together. But instead of it being a normal looking pattern, the curse mark appears at the bottom, and instead of a normal looking sky, there's a gray mist that covers the land. This seems to imply that the Rune of Death is back in the Elden Ring, which hasn't happened since before Marika's reign, meaning the death will come to the Lands Between once more, and immortality is a thing of the past. The Blessing of Despair is the 3rd version of this ending, and is activated upon completion of the Dung Eater questline, and using the Mending Rune of the Fell Curse, which leaves a sizable clump of disease on Marika's body. The land once again changes, but to a brown and reddish tint, and possibly implies that the Dung Eater got his wish. He has a dream of blessing the people with a curse that starts with all the people he's defiled and killed. They will then be reborn and create children who harbor their curse, and those children will have their own children who harbor that curse until everyone is afflicted by it. The 4th variation of this ending that we know of is the Age of Order, which is done by completing Brother Corrin and the Gold Mask questline, where on the body of the Gold Mask will be the Mending Rune of Perfect Order needed to complete this ending. Just as before, it's the...
You may think that what I'm wearing right now is soft body armor, and I don't blame you, because it looks...
Hey everyone, Bandit here. Let me just start this video off by saying there have been a lot of really good lore breakdown videos out there and being produced right now that have been both a blessing and a curse to me trying to make these videos. On the one hand, I love learning about the universe of Elden Ring since I'm...
Figured out how to get the bloodhound
Hey
step.
guys, Ashen1 here, and
Be right back. Let me see if I can get something from the kitchen. I know I'm taking a lot of breaks and I'm going downstairs. I'm just trying to prepare myself. Let me get comfortable, bro. Oh man, yep, I'm backity back. Back and I'm black.
welcome to this Elden Ring video on how to get the invisibility dodge quick step ability, Bloodhound Step. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and join and follow me on Discord and Twitch. Links in the description. Okay, so to do this, we need the Ash of War, Bloodhound Step. This Ash of War is an invisible, faster and further dodge than the standard quick step skill, and it looks awesome. This is usable on all melee armaments that can have Ashes of War equipped. It also comes with the Keen Affinity. To get this Ash of War, you need to come to Lena's Rise in Northeast Caelid, and you have to defeat a very difficult Black Knight to get it. But don't worry, we can cheese it. So first, find your way to Lena's Rise here on the map.
Okay, Lena's Rise.
I did it this way. From the Third Church of Marika here, there is a hidden teleporter. This sends you to the very northeast of Caelid. Run down to this site of grace here, avoiding the big boss. Then run across the bridge past the dragon and turn left immediately. Follow the cliff until you find a spirit spring. Then drop down using the tree here. Now you can get the Lena's Rise site of grace right next to the Black Knight spawn point. I found this easier than travelling down the path of poison from the bridge site of grace. Once here at Lena's Rise, wait until nightfall and the Black Knight will appear. This guy is tough and one-shots me easily. So, if you have any ranged skills, jump up on this...
Big man! I'm not gay. Okay. Okay. That is actually so hard. Should I look into leveling up that twin blade? Hmm. Is it weird that I don't know how to use it? I know something I could do. Bro, okay. Have to pull Google back up, bro.
I chose Wix for my business because of its massive scope for functionality and
So, if you have any ranged skills, jump up on this tree, equip it to a weapon, and then push L2. Step Ash of War also comes with a keen affinity, as mentioned. Equip it to a weapon, and then push L2 on PlayStation to quick step invisibly. Very cool. With locked on targets, it makes getting a backstab even easier. Locked on targets, it makes get step invisibly. Very cool. And equip it to a weapon, and then push L2 on PlayStation to quick step invisibly. Very cool. With locked on targets, it makes getting a backstab even easier. So there you have it, guys. Thanks for watching, more videos are coming, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Are you tired of Dark Souls gameplay in Elden Ring? The roll is so slow and so makes you disappear, kind of. You do a dash, you turn invisible step. So first of all, we need to know how to get it. Bloodhound Step drops from a Night Cavalry boss that spawns in at night at the Lens Rise race point. This is on the east side of the map in the red area, but don't worry about the boss being too hard to kill because there's actually a way to make him kill himself. If you really wanted to do this, you could make a brand new character and immediately a good example of why it's good. So if you don't want to see that, go ahead and click off this video, I guess. So like I said, this is just a very good example of why Bloodhound Step is extremely good. So I don't really know like the very specific details compared.
Okay, that's the teleport dodge. Is there anything else that I need to look up? That's really what I'm trying to figure out, gang. you called.
Why didn't you pick up?
I was chilling. I went downstairs to eat some pizza rolls. What you doing?
I was listening to music.
Yeah.
I was listening to Pantera. I was actually practicing my vocals.
You were? You go up?
I think I did okay. You did really good. Yeah, I mean, I just called because I wanted to see what you were doing. Dude, this actually might be too tight.
It looks nice. It looks nice.
Huh?
It looks nice.
You like it?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
That's all good. Yeah, I'm not, the only thing I'm doing is playing the game.
Family Guy?
Type shit. Let's see where my bonnet is.
What's your opinion on Jewish people?
They're people.
They're good people?
I said they're people. I mean, I know.
They're people.
Yeah, I mean, they're.
Hey, what you mean by that, Anna? My grandmother is Jewish.
I love Jewish people.
She's wild, bro.
I was gonna invest money in Lockheed Martin.
What would that do? What would that do for you?
What would that do for me?
Yeah.
Because I think they make a lot of like weapons. So because World War III is like on the peak, I thought about investing in them because they own all of our money.
Right.
So if I invest in that, and America starts using it all to defend in World War III, I feel like it would just be a good stock. But that's just me though. That's just me though. You don't have to listen to me.
You're a yapper. You're a yapper. A yapper.
You literally asked me why I would.
I mean, no, but you came out of nowhere
A
with.
jellyfish cap. What is that? A do-rag?
That's a bonnet.
What is that thing you got on your head,
It'd
boy?
be bonnet.
Huh?
It'd be bonnet.
A bonnet?
Mm-hmm.
What store are you talking about?
Yup.
Excuse me, I have been waiting for my prescription for 25 minutes. Oh, I'm really sorry, Miss Dumont. We'll have that filled for you right away. Guys, what the hell's going on here?
No, it's just the way I'm putting this on.
The correct bottle.
Come on, can you do your light skin face? Like he's doing it right now. He's going.
You gotta.
Every time he pulls out his phone, I see him go.
You gotta put the tip of your tongue at the roof of your mouth behind the. And then you buck everything like it's like a suction. Make it look tight.
Am I doing it right?
She kind of hitting that shit. She hitting that shit.
Am I hitting that hoe?
Yeah, and it's not even fair because like on your basic days, you got a double chin. And the fact that I said on your basic days you got a double chin, but then she gonna hit that shit. But you be saying it.
Yeah, but it's different when you say it.
Boy, I told you I like torch
That's
toss.
when you looking in the mirror and going, oh my god, I look so fat, and you being like, yeah, you kind of do.
I never tell you it was bad though. You chubby.
He said he never tells me it's bad.
You're chubby and it's cute. And it's like over anything, bro. You're not even over 120
You know
pounds.
what he told me the other day? I said something about fat people, and he's like, I mean, you're a little chubby.
The audacity.
You know, when I dated Kenwan, I call him out right now. When I dated Kenwan, I had an eating disorder because I had depression, and I was at the lowest of my weight that I ever weighed, and he said I was fat.
I did not say that shit. You said that shit.
He said I was chubby. And say shit.
But
He said you're a little chubby.
it was like
And you fought him, right?
No.
It was a fist fight that day.
No.
it wasn't. But I never even made it like she was bad. If anything, she talked about her weight more than me. And I was like, bro, there's
It
nothing.
doesn't fucking matter. I was at my low, and I didn't say
only correct response to that is, girl, the only thing fat on you was the ass.
Type shit. Okay, okay. No, that's valid, Chris. That's a W. That's a W.
Bruh, he literally called me chubby, and I weighed like 105.
Anna, you were the one calling yourself. She was calling herself chubby, bro. And back then you were not 105.
He's like, yeah, you were chubby.
But it was cute. I never made it a problem. You made it a problem.
Why would I want to be fat?
It's chubby. I'm not calling you fat. Fat is obese. Fat is what I call you. Bro, I'd tell somebody if they were fat, bro. I call my nigga really fat all the time. He doesn't like it, but I tell him, I'm like, bro, if you put effort in, and you would be like the strongest niggas I know.
He called me fat all the fucking time.
Alright, well, Anna, you're fat and you don't even have to try to look good with it. You work it.
Whatever, but if I call his mom and fucking sister fat, then I'm
Because that's disrespectful as fuck, and I never even called them. Bro, it's not disrespectful, bro. Oh my gosh, she's making a problem out of nothing. I called you chubby. I called you chubby. I stay calling my family hefty. I'll be like, but you know what I got them for fucking Christmas? You know what I got them for Christmas?
He got his fucking family a treadmill for Christmas. Can you believe him? He's more fat phobic than I am.
That okay, bro. It's not a fat phobic. It's just like, be healthy. It's just, no, man. It's just like, what is that gonna benefit you? But like, make things. Oh, bro. I don't know. It's. I never make it a problem with you. I never make it a problem with you, Anna. Oh.
Yeah, disrespectful as fuck, man. Fuck disrespectful ass.
Not both of y'all on my dick.
Boy, you wish we were on that dick, but it's not big enough to fit the two of us.
Word.
I'm just kidding. Just a little jokey joke.
Bro called me just to get on to me about a question that she asked me.
No, because you called me fat, dude.
But we went from you talking about how do you feel about Jews to me talking about being fat. Every time you with Chris, bro, you try to make me out to look like a bad guy, bro.
He's the lowest.
You just stuttered. I ain't never heard you stutter in my life, bro. He, like, bro.
Because you got me so fucked. My toes curling right now. That's how mad I am right now.
Alright, bro.
Dude, nah, man. Because he called me fat. Am I fucking at the skinny? He called me chubby the other day, too. What the fuck? Yeah, he called me fucking
It's cute, bro. Like, bro, she would be like, okay, how does this look on me? And then she'd be like, oh, I could pull it up or I could like leave it lower. I'm like, leave it lower because it shows more of your curves. And then she's over here like, so you calling me fat? And I'm like, bro, no, I'm selling it.
He said it would show my curves, so I feel like that's calling me fat.
Okay. Alright.
That is.
I guess she doesn't want me to.
He wasn't talking about my curves. He was talking about my curves, like my love handles.
And they're cute, bro. They're so cute. Like, bro, show it. That's you. That's your natural body. If I like it out of all people, bro, it should mean something. Because I'm a fat phobe.
Obviously, because you like Mirabelle and fucking Kelsey.
I didn't like. Oh my gosh. Why are you bringing up people I've liked?
An iron board earlier?
Huh?
Go back to Kelsey then.
Bro, why are you bringing her up? Why are you bringing her up, bro?
You did an iron board earlier, and you're talking about bodies now, and you're talking about some. I like it.
Where did her name come from, bro? I wasn't even with her.
She's a minor, by the way.
She's not a minor. She was 16 and I was 18, bro. Bro, is Chris not 22 and you're 19?
He's 23.
He's 23 and you're 19? Okay, and when you guys were, you know what I'm saying? Like, that wasn't weird to you? Why are you getting on to me? I didn't even do anything. Well, I didn't do anything with Kelsey ever, and I was 18 and she was 16. That was 2-year difference compared to you and whoever else you've been.
Man, 16 and 18. Like, she's not even 18 yet. She can't even vote. What? I mean, like, that's just... I'm just saying.
And it's like, bro, I wasn't even with her, bro. I wasn't with her. Nothing happened.
I love doing it. I love getting killed, man. I'm just kidding. You know, it's just a joke.
Dude, bro, you let it go too deep for it to ever be a joke.
When I click on her page.
You said, huh? You said it says follow her back when I click on her page.
Yeah.
You're so petty. Like, why do you even care? I thought you didn't like me. You don't like me, right?
No, I don't dislike her. She's chill. I've actually never had a problem with her. I used to be on the basketball team with her.
Word.
Yeah.
Why is she a topic at all right now, bro?
Cause you said if
You said.
do something and Kelsey is literally the size of my calf.
Oh my gosh.
And who else? Maribel.
I didn't like her.
Maribel looked like Teresa.
We were in middle school, bro. That was middle school. Why are you bringing up middle school shit?
It's not middle school. That was high school.
It was. What was it?
You stood up on her, like almost naked, and you said, "Damn, Bestie, you look good."
Yo, okay, Chris. How do you hype up your girlfriends, bro? Come on, be on my side, please, bro.
Have girlfriends. When Chris and I were a thing, he did not have any friends.
Anna,
The only woman I follow on Instagram is Anna.
I don't mind.
How do I hype up my girlfriends? You don't. The fuck?
How do I hype up Anna?
That's what I'm saying.
But you,
Should look fat today. That's that simple.
Anna, bro, you know if me and you were a thing, I'd like show. I already do not show any other attention to any other female besides you. And freaking, if you made it a problem, well, if you felt some type of way about it, I would unfollow every girl in my phone for you. So it's just. Well then why is it a problem? Like, I don't understand.
Ask her if she wants to go work out with us and be in one of our sets. Yeah, look, because he did say that. That's what he's thinking.
To another woman.
Yeah, he went up and went to go talk to her at the gym, and I stood there like, I forget who it was. It's a big ass bitch. You know what I'm talking about? Some big ass lats.
Not a big body hoe.
Bro, did she? Oh my gosh, bro. So are you jealous?
Improper fraction. Fuck.
So you're jealous, bro.